Canada is looking to replace its aging fleet of submarines, and now the list of contenders has been narrowed down to 2 bidders. So companies from Germany and South Korea are both in the race for the multi-billion-dollar deal. Ottawa is looking to get a deal signed quickly. For a closer look at what we need, David Perry is president of the Canadian Global Affairs Institute and joins us now from Ottawa. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
What kind of subs do we have right now, and what state are they in?
Old ones that are in really bad condition. We bought them secondhand. It was basically the only choice available at the time, so it was a good choice because it was the only one we could make. But we've held them way too long, and they really urgently need to be replaced now.
What does urgent mean?
They are increasingly almost unable to actually get in the water and operate. The Navy really struggles for that. So I think as soon as possible, basically, is the answer. 2035 is what the project's aiming at in terms of having a new submarine that's able to operate for Canada.
We have a lot of coastline to defend. In fact, 3 coasts to defend. Why are subs so critical in that effort?
It's one of the most effective ways to actually be able to control the water space. So if you don't want somebody else to come into your waters, and as you mentioned, we have a lot of them, submarines are one of the most effective tools to do that. They're also a really effective way internationally to be able to collect information and to be able to sit unseen and help shape things that are happening with things like trade routes to our markets in either Europe or Asia.
So Canada, as we know, has narrowed down the bidders to companies from Germany and South Korea. What do each of those bring to the table? Walk us through.
I think a couple things. One is the potential to join a fairly large operating club. With the numbers being operated and on order from the Republic of Korea, they're going to have a fairly sizable fleet of a few of the exact same type they'd be offering to Canada, as well as a larger group of similar submarines. In the case of Germany, we have the potential to join a partnership between Germany and Norway, and as part of a tripartite group. That's really of interest because part of the reason we've had so many issues with the existing submarines we have is that they are the only 4 submarines of that type in the world, which means it's really a lot harder for Canada to maintain them than it would be if it was part of a bigger group. And I think the other thing that both the Korean and German companies offer is submarines that are actually in production under build right now today. So there's a lot less chance that you have problems with design issues for another kind of submarine that hasn't actually been fully designed, fully certified, or actually into production today. Both the Korean and German options give us a path with pretty reasonably low risk to getting submarines quickly on the schedule we need.
What is our schedule? Like how quickly could we get these subs?
I think it depends on how fast the government actually can get to signing a contract. Both the companies involved have suggested that they could get it to us at least by 2035 or even earlier, but that all depends on whether or not we can get a contract really quickly, like ideally next year. Positive indication of this down selection that the Carney government is actually moving fast on this file. So that I think remains an actual possibility that we could get them earlier than 2035 if the government can keep the foot on the gas pedal.
What's our budget?
We don't actually know firmly what the budget is yet, because I think part of what we're going to do with this next round of engagements with these companies, now that we've done this down selection, is to go out and collect more meaningful, detailed financial information. But I mean, basically, submarines are super expensive. My guess would be at the end of the day, by the time you deliver the last one, we'd be looking at something like, on average, $10 billion a copy, not just to buy the submarine, but to have all the project management that goes around it, account for exchange rate fluctuations with Korean or German currency from now until 2040, 2050. Probably about $10 billion a copy would be my guess.
Canada is one of the lowest spenders for NATO, speaking of money. In terms of our international obligations, what are the consequences of letting our defense equipment become obsolete?
Well, you get 4 old submarines that can hardly get in the water. That's the most tangible example of that. We have a whole bunch of those other circumstances that are playing out with our aircraft, with our other naval ships. The submarine project would be a way, if we can get it moving quickly, to really help start ramping up that spending, both achieve the NATO targets, but more importantly, get the Canadian Navy more capability that it can use on behalf of the government of Canada. So
Ottawa's planning to purchase, what, 12 subs? Is that enough?
I think that is the plan for up to 12 submarines, and the idea behind that is to basically allow to have 3 in the water fairly reliably at any given time, which would allow for patrols on all 3 of those coasts that you mentioned.
Well, David Perry, president of the Canadian Global Affairs Institute, thanks for your time this morning. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.